Today, we're going to talk about something crucial, building a real cyber fortress. I'm talking about moving away from those chaotic, late-night fire drills and shifting to a proactive strategy that can actually stand up to modern threats. So let's just dive right in. Okay, let's paint a picture. It's 2 in the morning. Your phone buzzes, lights up. It's a critical security alert. The business is under attack, right now. What's your first move? Seriously, what is it? If your honest answer is a jolt of panic, or you're just not sure where to even start, well, you're in the right place. And that nightmare scenario, it drops us right into our first big topic. What happens when crisis actually strikes? Because that's the moment, right? It's the ultimate test of a company's preparedness or, its lack of it. And wow, this quote from the source material it hits the nail on the head. In a real incident, the clock is your #1 enemy. Trying to just wing it, to improvise on the fly, that's not just a bad idea. It's a guaranteed recipe for failure. You have to have a plan. Okay, so the big question is, how do we get ahead of that terrifying ticking clock? Well, that brings us to the absolute core idea we're digging into today, building a proactive defense. It's all about a fundamental shift in mindset, from just reacting to an attack to being ready for it before it even happens. But what does proactive actually mean in this context? Let's be clear. It's not about having a crystal ball. It's about intense, deliberate preparation. It means you have your procedures defined, your infrastructure ready, and your tools in place before the worst happens. That way, your team can execute with precision instead of, just scrambling in the dark. And look, the payoff for doing all this prep work, it's massive. We're not just talking about feeling safer. We're talking about tangible business benefits. You seriously reduce the financial and operational hit from an attack. You spot threats way faster. And maybe most importantly, you actually learn from every single incident, making your defenses tougher for the next time. All right, so I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but where do you even start? How do you actually build this kind of capability? Well, lucky for us, there's a really great model that can guide the way. Let's talk about what it takes to start climbing the IR pyramid. So here it is, the incident response hierarchy of needs. And honestly, it's a brilliant way to visualize this whole process. Think of it just like Maslow's hierarchy. You can't achieve self-actualization if you don't have food and water, right? Same idea here. You can't get to the fancy stuff at the top without a rock-solid foundation. And what's so interesting is what that foundation is. Just look at the very bottom layer, inventory. It sounds so simple, almost boring. But think about it. You absolutely cannot protect what you don't even know you have. If you don't have a good inventory, how on earth are you supposed to collect telemetry or build good detections? You can't. It's impossible. You have to build this thing from the ground up, one layer at a time. To make this a little easier to digest, we can break this whole pyramid climb into 3 main stages. Stage 1 is all about building that foundation, getting basic visibility. Can you even see what's on your network and what it's doing? That's your starting point. Then, stage 2 is where you graduate from just seeing to actively seeking. This is where you start proactively hunting for bad guys who might already be lurking inside your network, using what you know about their typical behaviors. And finally, you get to stage 3, the top of the pyramid, taking decisive action. This is the goal, right? The ability to track an attacker live, kick them out with surgical precision, and even work with others to shut down their entire operation. But listen, you could have the best, most expensive tools in the entire world, and it still wouldn't be enough, because a world-class defense, it's about so much more than just tech. It's about people. Here's the bottom line. A plan is only as good as the team behind it. All that amazing technology, it's just an enabler. Your super detailed incident response plan, it's just a piece of paper or, a PDF, until a skilled, practiced team actually brings it to life when the pressure is on. And that brings us to this classic but crucial concept. The 3 pillars of any solid security strategy are people, process, and technology. And they can't exist in silos. They have to be totally integrated. I mean, think about it. Amazing tech with no one trained to use it, that's just a waste of budget. A team of geniuses with no defined process, that's just organized chaos. You need all 3 working together, perfectly in sync.
So let's drill down on that process piece for a second. In the middle of a full-blown crisis, how do you make good decisions? How do you cut through the noise? Well, there's this incredibly powerful framework, originally from the military, that's been adapted for cyber defense. It's called the OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, and act.
And it's really elegant in how it works. So, a crisis hits. First, you observe. You see an alert. Something's wrong. Next, you orient. This is where you pull in context. What are the logs telling you? What does threat intelligence say about this kind of activity? With that bigger picture, you decide on a course of action. And then you act. And it's not a one-and-done thing. It's a super fast, continuous loop that helps you turn a storm of chaotic data into calm, decisive action. Okay, we're making progress. We've built this awesome incident response capability. But how does that one piece fit into the bigger picture of keeping the entire business afloat during a disaster? That's where we need to think about a unified defense plan. And it's super important to understand the difference between a couple of key plans here. Your incident response plan, that's your firefighters. Their job is to identify, contain, and put out the fire, to eradicate the threat. But your business continuity plan, that's about keeping the rest of the business running while the fire is being fought. How do we keep the lights on and serve customers during the incident? Now, this is a trap that so many organizations fall into. The source material points out a really common, really dangerous mistake: prioritizing getting operations back online over the actual incident response. It's this panic to get back to normal. But if you rush to restore everything without fully kicking out the attacker, well, you've basically just left the front door wide open for them to waltz right back in. And that's exactly why true resilience isn't about having one single perfect plan. It's about having 3 aligned plans. Your incident response, your business continuity, and your disaster recovery plans. They all have to be integrated. They have to work together as a team, not fighting against each other when a crisis actually hits. Because when you boil it all down at the end of the day, all of these plans, all of this tech, all of these people, they're all working towards one single goal: to reduce the impact of a security incident on the business. That's it. That's the mission. So I want to leave you with one final thought, a question to take back to your own organization. Take a hard look and ask, is your defense just a binder full of documents gathering dust on a shelf? Or is it a living, breathing capability that you test and practice, one that's ready to act with confidence when that 2 a.m. call finally comes?